I don't believe there is any option other than a ground invasion to neutralize this terrorist organization, Hezbollah, that is basically an arm of Iran. Once this war starts, thousands of missiles will be flying towards Israel, and sadly, the Iron Dome and other anti-rocket defense systems will not be able to intercept that much of missiles going on a daily basis.
While the world's attention has been largely focused on Israel's battle to defeat Hamas in Gaza, a much larger war looms to the north. For over 8 months, the Iran-backed terrorist army Hezbollah has fired waves of rockets, missiles, and attack drones from Lebanon into northern Israel. And folks, we're approaching the point where Israel may have to act decisively against Hezbollah. A major reason is that tens of thousands of Israelis have been forced to evacuate their homes in the north with no idea when they can return home. Our TBN Israel correspondent Yair Pinto visited those beleaguered communities near the Lebanon border and has this report.
We're now standing in an area that was attacked by Hezbollah missiles and drones. You can see all the area here that is black was recently burnt as part of all the fires that Hezbollah caused using their missiles to attack Israel. People don't talk about it enough, but the northern part of Israel is at war for 8 months. In recent weeks, Hezbollah has upped its operations to a whole new level with cross-border attacks from Lebanon reaching way further into Israel, setting the Galilee and Golan Heights ablaze and causing huge damage to the northern region. With around 60,000 Israelis still evacuated from the region, Israel can no longer ignore its northern front or delay taking stronger action here in the north.
We are standing in Kibbutz Malkiah, in the Upper Galilee, near the Lebanoni border, maybe 200 meters. I'm here in the defense platoon of Malkiah. For the 7th of October, there used to be here about 450 people. Now there is maybe 25 people here that don't want to go any other place. The reality is lots of bombing, fires. We need to deal with it alone.
There's no chance I will evacuate. Not only that I will not evacuate myself, I'm part of a great team. The only way we can make our living would be regarding to farming. Apples, cherries, apricots, you name it. So, of course, we're working right by the fence, and we are ready for any escalation, any development. It's not the Lebanese people. Most Lebanese people, if you ask them, they will whisper to you because they're scared of Hezbollah. They don't want any trouble with Hezbollah. It took over the south part of Lebanon, and I would say took over all over Lebanon.
So what's the solution?
What's the solution? Be strong. Because if you're not strong, they will eat you alive. They eat one another.
Yeah.
One hand on a gun, but one hand free to shake their hands. Whoever wants to shake our hands.
Well, this is my house. It was bombed on Saturday at 6 o'clock in the evening, and this is the result. There was one big explosion, which killed also our cat, unfortunately. You see the ceiling.
Was somebody in the house?
Only the cat. My son, he's supposed to be here, and he just left the house for cutting a tree. That saved his life.
I think that's like a miracle. It's an amazing miracle.
Yeah, it is really a miracle. You know, I don't have a house, but there are people who don't have a son anymore, a friend anymore. The hostages. For me, that's actually unbelievable that there's still hostages in Gaza. So many soldiers died. So many soldiers are in hospitals, and they won't be the same like before the war. And also the other side. They have an awful life because of this Hamas.
Yeah.
And it's a pity that most of the world doesn't understand who is to blame.
So we're driving now through the farming area of this kibbutz. There are fields are right on the border with Lebanon. So as you can see, they grow cherries here. These cherries are ready too ripe to be picked and sold, because for a few days, this area was not allowed, not safe to farm.
Good?
Very good.
The missile that was hitting here, it was right during the picking time. I was 200 meters away. I lay down really quickly. Okay, I think we have to go now.
We need to go to a safe place.
This can happen like 10, 20 a day.
Today we saw people that decided to live here, to walk the land, despite all the threats, all the fears, the missiles. So let's unite in prayer. Prayer for the farmers of Israel, the farmers of Lebanon, and the people that just want to live here peacefully. Let's pray for the IDF soldiers that risk their lives every day defending the borders of this state. And most importantly, let's unite in prayer for the peace of Jerusalem.
And Yair joins us now from Jerusalem. Yair, great peace as always. What is the morale of the people in northern Israel right now in those beleaguered communities? It's just an unsustainable situation with Hezbollah perched there, people not able to return to their homes. What's the general feeling and the spirit of the people in the north right now?
Well, Eric, let me start by saying that there are no rumors of war in the northern part of Israel. The north of Israel is at war for 8 months. And you asked about the morale of the people of the northern part of Israel. There are no people in the northern part of Israel. They're just hand-picked individuals, just a number of people that are still left there defending their communities, farming the land because they're optimistic that this war will end soon. But Hezbollah has, according to Israeli experts, 150,000 missiles that are ready to be fired at Israel. This is a rate of about 3,000 missiles every day that are pointed at Israel that can keep firing for a few weeks if a full war will rage between Israel and Lebanon. This is a situation that Israel cannot accept, and a war is inevitable in the north of Israel.
This seems, when this war, and as you mentioned, it seems inevitable, it seems like it will be a very violent and bloody affair that would dwarf what's happening in Gaza. How do you see it?
Yes, Eric, definitely. Once this war starts, and I say once because I don't believe there is any option other than a ground invasion to neutralize this terrorist organization, Hezbollah, that is basically an arm of Iran. Once this war starts, thousands of missiles will be flying towards Israel. And sadly, the Iron Dome and other anti-rocket defense systems will not be able to intercept that much of missiles going on a daily basis. So that's the scenario that Israel is prepared for a war that can reach Haifa, which is a central city in Israel, and other cities that are not in the north, because Hezbollah has advanced missile capabilities that can reach all of Israel. And they're boasting about it. Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, keeps saying that no place in Israel is safe.
Yeah, they even talked about a ground invasion of the Galilee, Yair. Okay, a formidable foe, as you just laid out. How does Israel prevail in this war against Hezbollah?
Well, first of all, both Hezbollah and Israel know that once this war starts, Israel is going to win. Israel is going to win because we have better army, we are prepared, we have been training since October 8th. Okay, since October 8th is when Hezbollah launched its attacks against Israel. The IDF has been preparing, training, and we have 4 times the amounts of troops, tanks, and other military infantry and units on the border with Hezbollah, with Lebanon, prepared for the day that they get the order to invade and to destroy Hezbollah. It's going to be a hard battle, Eric. It's going to be many losses on the Israeli side, but Israel will win. And Hezbollah knows that. If a full-scale operation will be launched, it will be the last breath of Hezbollah. but it will be very costly on Israel as well. So that is what we are prepared for, and the IDF is ready for an order to do that.
Yeah, Yair, about 45 seconds left. By the way, you are obviously, of course, a member of the Israel Defense Forces Reserves as well. But last question, about 40 seconds left. Do you see Iran, Hezbollah's patron, possibly getting involved directly here?
Yes, listen, Eric, once a full-scale war will launch, I don't see a way that Iran will not get involved directly. But more than that, we see Iran supplying Hezbollah with weapons. We just received reports of weapons being sent through the international airport in Beirut, which is the capital of Lebanon. The Iranians are not shy, and they're delivering weapons to Hezbollah all the time in any way they can.
She's been a foremost advocate for Israel and the Jewish people, and she's also now a spokeswoman for the Republican National Committee, advocating for a stronger America. Elizabeth Pipko joins us now. Elizabeth, great to have you with us. Hey, speaking of Israel and America, what is your take on what really seems to be relentless pressure by the Biden administration on Israel to not only agree to a premature ceasefire in Gaza, but also to hold back against Hezbollah in Lebanon?
To be honest, I'm incredibly uncomfortable with what we've seen from this administration since the start of the war on October 7th. I've been, like you said, an advocate for a good relationship with the state of Israel for years now. But what people are missing is that I don't just support Israel as a proud Jew. I support Israel as a proud American. And a safe relationship, a secure relationship, a strong relationship with the state of Israel is good for the national security of the United States of America. It's that simple. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. It's the only country there that shares our values. And a safe Israel always results in a safer America. Right now, when it comes to this war, Israel is fighting Hamas, right? They're also fighting, as we saw earlier, right before me in the segment, possibly a war with Hezbollah in the north. These are enemies that we share with the state of Israel, right? We share a need to abolish any kind of terrorism, to eradicate these kind of groups from the face of the earth, because they don't just want to do what they did on October 7th to Israel or to the Jewish people. They want to do the same thing in the United States of America. They want to eradicate all the values that we hold near and dear to our hearts, just like the people in Israel do. Let's not forget, when you and I are talking right now about this administration and their treatment of Israel, Israel right now is not just fighting for its own safety and its own existence right on the face of the earth. They're fighting for their hostages. They're fighting for those people to come home, 5 of which are American. So the fact that we have to discuss Biden administration telling Israel to hold back in any way when they're actually fighting for the return of the 5 American hostages being held right now, I think is absolutely ridiculous. It is a horrible precedent to set, and I'm terrified for what that means for the security of this country moving forward.
Elizabeth, such great points. Israel's enemies and America's enemies are one in the same. You mentioned the Biden administration. Obviously, big election looming in November. The outcome of that election, how crucial will that be for Israel's security going forward? What's the distinction there between the two candidates?
So when people ask me why this election is the most important one, obviously of my lifetime, but possibly of all Americans' lifetimes, I think it's the fact that Americans no longer feel safe, right? We have the privilege in this country, unlike many around the world, to focus on social issues, to focus on things that don't have to, make us sit back and wonder for the safety of our loved ones. That is no longer the case after 3.5 years of the Biden administration. There is mayhem on the streets. People are fearful of law and order, but there's also mayhem in the world. When we fight in the United States, it's one thing. When we have to face threats from around the world, when we're facing what's going on in Europe between Russia and Ukraine, what's going on in the Middle East right now, Americans no longer feel safe. So when we talk about the existence or the safety of the state of Israel moving forward, I no longer have to worry about that because I don't have the privilege anymore. I now have to worry about the safety, security, and the existence of the United States of America moving forward. And I think this election is a crucial one. We have seen what it means to have a President Trump in office. We have seen what it means to show strength and to gain peace through that strength. And we have seen the opposite from this administration. We've seen what it means for our allies around the world, but also what it means for us. And I don't think Americans can hold on anymore. I think Americans know there is an obvious choice to be made in November in order to keep our allies like Israel safe, but also simply to keep us safe.
Elizabeth, we obviously have the UN, the International Criminal Court, various global bodies turning viciously against Israel. At the same time, we have a vicious trend of anti-Semitism, not only worldwide, but right here in the United States. The latest example over the weekend, Jews attacked outside of a synagogue in Los Angeles. You've done such great work on exposing anti-Semitism. What's your take on the solution here? We talked to Ambassador David Friedman last night. He said, look, stronger law enforcement in these cases to deal with these anti-Semitic mobs. What's your take?
I think stronger law enforcement is definitely step one. That's an obvious one. We need stronger law enforcement when it comes to all kinds of hate crimes in this country, any kind of unlawfulness that we see in this country. That's obvious, and that comes back to safety. And I would hope that all Americans would agree with me on that. When it comes to anti-Semitism, for me, I look at this issue in a different way than other Americans. Maybe I have the privilege of being raised, I always say, by two immigrants. Both my parents fled the former Soviet Union so that I could be a free Jew in the United States of America. So for me, it's about standing up. It's about never shying away from standing up, not just for Jewish people, but anyone facing any kind of hate. The kind of hate that many people fled their own countries because of, because they never thought that they would have to see that in the United States of America. And I want people to realize it doesn't just affect Jewish people, right? Of course, anti-Semitism affects us, but anti-Semitism is always just a precursor to much worse issues in a country, right? It is very easy to scapegoat someone. It's very often the Jewish people, but they're never the last ones that are attacked. And when you stand up for Jewish people, when you stand up against anti-Semitism, you're actually not just standing up for your fellow Jews, though we appreciate it. You're also standing up for the safety of the United States of America, because we cannot have any kind of hatred in our streets, in our institutions, in our Congress, God knows where else we have seen this kind of anti-Semitism lately. It cannot continue because it only means negative things for this country.
No doubt. The Jewish people, in a sense, Elizabeth, are the canary in the coal mine. It's the world's oldest hatred, and it's coming to our doorstep, but non-Jews next. It always starts with the Jewish people. It never ends with the Jewish people. Elizabeth, thanks so much for keeping a close eye on this, for your work at the Republican National Committee. God bless, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon. Stakelbeck Tonight, my all-new nightly series on current events through a bold biblical lens. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching, and God bless.